Let's begin today with economic headlines in the Russian papers. Moskovsky Komsomolets, the economy on the edge of recession. The front page of Izvestia, beetroot prices up 58% this year. The price of carrots up 39%. The authorities are to freeze prices on a string of socially important products by increasing the number of long-term contracts between manufacturers and retail chains. The government will draw up the list of goods. The Federal Anti-Monopoly Service and manufacturers believe this will help stabilise food prices. Nezavisima Gazeta leads with petrol prices. The price of petrol in the pumps to rise by August. Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak has said that the authorities are debating a possible export ban on petrol for oil companies. Also, in Russia, the age of super cheap mortgages is over. In the new conditions, citizens will have to save for a long time to afford a flat. Kommersant claims that yesterday in Istanbul, the Russian and Ukrainian delegations demonstrated their readiness for dialogue, but calls the talks there a theatre for one spectator. That's Donald Trump. The Russian government paper Rossiyskaya Gazeta reports on events in Ukraine, the street protests against a controversial new law curbing the independence of anti-corruption agencies. Now, this story presents the Russian state media with something of a dilemma, I think. On the one hand, Moscow will be pleased to see President Zelensky under pressure domestically. On the other hand, images of people taking to the streets to hold the government to account, to demand the independence of anti-corruption institutions, images of crowds of protesters, of people power, in effect. This is not the kind of thing the Russian authorities wish to encourage in Russia. It's why so many repressive laws have been adopted here to prevent anything like this happening here. So, in its coverage of the story, the Russian government paper isn't very complimentary about the protesters. On Tuesday evening, supporters of the anti-corruption vertical feigned popular anger, with faint applause from the world's media. Activists from all kinds of Euro-Atlantic NGOs, mainly men and women too young to be drafted, came out to protest. Among the extras were activists for hire of ex-President Poroshenko and the mayor of Kiev, Klitschko. Finally, this is interesting, in Nezavisima Gazeta today, Russian MPs have been discussing the now regular chaos at Russian airports, with flights delayed by many hours when Ukrainian drone attacks closed the airspace. The paper says, so discussions have started on those consequences of the special operation, Russia's war in Ukraine, which the people, it seems, were not supposed to have felt. But it's significant that no one dared to call the infrastructure collapses at the airports a logical consequence of the special military operation, of the hostilities, when the enemy naturally tries to do maximum harm to Russia to spark discontent in society, and the authorities, demonstrating their usual low effectiveness, don't do much to stop it.